Hey guys, I'm Sage. I've been trading for the last 10 plus years. In today's presentation, you're going to be learning how to take entries on the shorter time frames, on the 1 minute, 5 minute, 10-minute time frames, so you can set yourself up for more success as a scalper. Scalping is a very lucrative endeavor. It also is very risky. So you will be learning how to take your entries, your take profit targets, and why you set specific support and resistance levels. We do have premium indicators that we use here that not everyone has access to, but we want to open the window for you guys to have at least the information on hand. So when you finally decide to join the Discord group, you're going to be at it, up and running. I look forward to seeing you guys here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into the video.
Can you really have a great trade off of the shorter time frames? Well, if you're patient, consistent, and disciplined enough, I think it's absolutely a sustainable strategy. For for example, for some of the stuff that I do, I'm very, very susceptible to the aftermarket moves, right? So sometimes that is not fun at all. Like, for example, if you were long tech and you just got hit with meta earnings, it might be uncanny for you to be in some of your positions going into tomorrow if you don't have the proper implementations in. So today I'm not going to be so heavily talking about the swing trading opportunities, nor will I be talking about the selling opportunities. If you're strictly a scalper and you're looking to sit in on the session and catch the very, very small moves that you might have in the market, today is your day. Today is where you really want to be paying attention. Okay. So can you be lucrative and can you make thousands, tens of thousands, potentially even a couple tens of thousands of dollars off of some scalping positions? Yeah, stick around. I always give this indicator for free. I use it. It's on my chart. It's very similar to one of the indicators that you will see on my chart today. It's called the RAF, but this one in particular is the TTM, $700 indicator. You guys get that for absolutely free. This is something that I've been introducing pretty much on every webinar that we talk about. I like to always include it because it is an expensive indicator. I have the receipts. I paid $700 for it. I was a dummy, not aware of this. So this is something that you get absolutely free at the end of the presentation. So if not anything else, if you're new, this is your first time here, please stick around till the end of the presentation. This is literally $700 that you will save on this one indicator alone. And it's a pretty good one too. Some of the stuff that we have as our agenda, really primarily the two indicators that we'll talk about, right? I won't spend too much time on all these other small minutia. I really, really want to spend time on setting up the support and resistance levels and where some of the magnet levels can be. And then we'll talk about that one indicator, and then you'll see how it is that I use that TTM, which is that free indicator that we'll give you at the end of the webinar, how it is that I use that in conjunction with the support and resistance levels that you guys will see here in a second. So we'll look at confirmations, and then we'll also look at potentially how to adjust the position. And this is also something that we should be very well aware of. Don't think that every first trade that you'll take is going to be a banger trade. For those of you that like sports, I'm not personally a baseball fan, but this is a really, really good analogy. You have to think about trading like getting to first base as much as humanly possible, right? You can create wealth just getting to first base if you do that consistently. So if you're consistently making 10, 20, 30% on every little trade that you take and you're cutting your losers at roughly about 5, 10%, that's a winning strategy. Well, you don't have to hit bangers every single time. You don't have to hit home run trades every time. So it's just like baseball. Just want to get focused on getting to first base and then start moving accordingly. And just like getting to first base, you want to start moving up your stop loss so you can guarantee at least a little bit of profit. So that's a really, really good analogy here for you guys to have in your head. Levels and setups, that's really all this is. Trading is all about setups and all about looking at support and resistance and not trading so much off of your personal bias. You want to try to trade off of as much information as possible. This is really, really key on pretty much everything that we do. Your bias, I'm so sorry, but your bias doesn't mean anything in trading. I talk about my bias very, very often. I talk about flow very, very often in the Discord group, but it's all based on what the overall bias is in the stock market, not my individual bias. So for example, let's say I love Meta, right? I think Meta is an incredibly strong company. Doesn't necessarily mean that I should be going long every chance that I get. I need to look at some of the fundamentals and also the technicals and seeing if I am getting a strong enough signal in order to confirm whether I want to go long or short, so on and so forth. So if you are that type of person that has a very strong bias, you need to get rid of that. You need to be very comfortable with being wrong very often, which is very different than things in life, right? In life, sometimes we gauge on how good we are at something by how many times we get something right, like your job, like whatever it is that you do in just normal life. In trading, it's very different. You can be wrong the majority of the time, 60% of the time, and you can still make money. You just have to make sure that, of course, you're winning when you're winning. The capacity of your wins are just a little bit larger than how many losses that you're incurring. So if you're winning, let's say four trades out of 10, but your four trades that you win are at 30% and you're cutting the other six losers at about 5%, the math works out in your favor. So that's what I mean here. It's important to spend a little bit of time on that concept because a lot of people sometimes don't understand that you don't have to win every single time. You don't even have to have a high win rate in order for you to be successful in trading. All right, so these are some of the confirmations. The ones that I really want you to focus on today, we're not going to see the fibs the way that you're normally accustomed to seeing fibs. We're going to show you something new, something exciting, and something that works based off of algorithms. You guys can check the math. I know a lot of you are techies. So you can check the math on the website on the technical indicators. If you ask me at the end of the presentation, I can give you the math. The math checks out. Really, really good math and really good implications. So we're going to talk about some fib levels, and then we'll talk specifically about finding support and resistance without doing so much of the legwork, right? Let the algorithms and let the tools do all the work and keep a little bit of your bias off to the side, right? Because your bias can really, really get you in trouble. We'll do a tiny bit of volume analysis. I don't want to focus on that today. And then we'll also do support and resistance, right? Economic indicators and news also is going to be a tremendously big factor. We just saw that on Meta. Obviously, with Meta selling off today, you guys noticed the Qs slipped about 1%. So paying attention, of course, to e-com indicators, news releases, things like that. We're in a geopolitical conflict. This is the reason why we're starting to sell off about 2 weeks ago. We had that. We had sort of a hot CPI. All those things we want to pay attention to because they're always going to create an overall looming bias, not a personal one, but a looming bias in the market. And you just want to be aware of that. We're not going to be focusing on that today. We're going to be focusing on the shorter time frames because that's what you guys care about. And that's what I care about today too. We're going to talk about something called the voodoo lines. If you've never heard that before, it is a funky name, right? Let's admit that. It's a very, very funky name, but it's based on four criteria. They're basically support and resistance lines, but it depends on how the price action is acting at these specific zones. So when I show you this, I don't want you to think, hey, Sage showed me that we're at a snow line, we're at a tree line, we're at a violet line, we're at a sky, whatever. I don't want you to think we hit that level and then we're looking at a support or we're looking at a resistance just because we're trading into that zone. That's not how this works. The way that this works is you want to use this in tandem with also deciphering price action. Price action is going to be king because it is the most real-time indicator that you can get. Price action is going to be the actual fluctuation of the candles or whatever chart imprint that you use. We like to use candles. Whatever fluctuation you have real time, that's going to be price action. But on top of that, we have these support and resistance levels. So there's four indicators here. When you guys look at my chart, it's going to look quite busy. But I want you to put in your head here, the differentiation. It has a hierarchy. You have your red lines, you have your green lines, you have your white lines, and then you have your violet lines or your sky lines. I'm going to explain exactly what they mean. As I'm talking here, you guys can read just a little bit of the intro of what each of them are. They do have their own finite vocabulary: fire lines, tree lines, snow lines, and sky lines. You're going to see why this is important here in just a second. And I've been using this with tremendous success for my own scalping. And I also used this when I posted the watch list yesterday. So there's really, really interesting information here for you guys to start picking on, right? All right, let's continue. We're going to do just a little bit more housekeeping. Why the colors? It's just a differentiation on the magnitude of the level. So the red lines are going to be what are, there's fewer of them on the chart. The red lines are going to be more or less your critical levels for support and resistance. And then below that are going to be your tree lines. Even lower than that, you're going to see more abundance on the snow lines. So those are the white lines. And then what you see even more are going to be the sky lines. Personally, I like to pay attention a little bit more to the tree lines and the snow lines. Few and far between are you going to be trading to a fire line. You'll see here on Qs that we are at a fire line, and I'm going to show you how to approach that here in just a second. But all the colors mean is just the magnitude of the support or resistance line. So that's all that they are, right? So the closer you are to either a tree line or a fire line, usually that's where you want to start paying a little bit closer attention. That's the key here. Cool. Next. All right, risk management. I don't have to spend too much time on this. Hope to God that the majority of you that are listening today, you're not over trading and you're not being stupid with your money. Something that I always recommend to newer traders. You work hard for your money. Try not to give the market or the market makers or whatever broker that you try to be very, very picky and very just try to hold on to your money, right? Don't take big trades, right? Because you're not going to focus. You're not going to have good cognizance when you're looking to trade on something that is not performance based, or it doesn't have some sort of plan, right? If you're trading off of a specific emotion and you feel that heat in your heart or you feel blood pumping, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything healthy. Okay. So risk management, I wanted to give you guys a visual. You guys can look through this after through the recording. These are some of the specifics that we recommend. This is housekeeping stuff. Hope to God that you guys are not doing too large of a position. We don't advocate for that at all. We really like approaching trading like building a house. You want to do it step by step and you want to do it relatively slowly. Cool. All right, I'm getting there. A few more indicators that we like to use in terms of price action. What we want to look for, this is crucial. If this were a test, this would probably more than likely be on the test. This is one of the most important things to know. When you're trading into these zones, you have to look for a strong reaction via price action and via volume. So what are the two most important things that I always say in trading, especially with my sessions? Where there's volume, there's interest. And if there is a strong bodied candle, there is larger orders that are being placed. If that has volume behind it and you're at some of the critical levels that I'll show you here with those voodoo lines, there might be a trade for you to take. Cool. So bullish and bearish engulfing. This is not too difficult to understand. It's not any, it's not any magic. You guys already know what this stuff is. All right. So now let's jump into charts, right? Everyone is good. I see that Nate has been asking, or not asking, has been answering a couple questions. So that's great. I'm not going to look at questions or comments for right now because I'm really, really getting into the flow of this and I really don't want to break that apart. I get excited when I talk about this because there's opportunity here. Before I jump in, I don't want anyone to think that this is overall abundant magic. I don't want you guys to run off and then start buying these indicators and say, hey, Sage told me to buy this. I spent all this money on these indicators and it's not working. Don't do that, right? What I want you to have the tool, and you need to make sure that if you're using the tool, you're applying the tools correctly because the tools are only as good as the craftsman that is wielding the tools, right? So it doesn't matter if I'm buying all these expensive tools for you. If you don't know how to use them or you don't know how to use them together in tandem, then you're not going to be a dangerous trader. And what we want to educate you so you guys understand what it is that you're doing with some of the tools that now we have on hand, okay? I just want to really, really make that abundantly clear for everyone. All right, now let's actually talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about stocks. I'm going to go over SPY, I'm going to go over Qs, I'm going to go over IWM, and I will go over DIA. We'll talk about some other stuff as well. I can jump into meta, that would be fine, but I really want to focus on the indexes because what we do is we trade indexes all day long. I'm in two winning positions right now on IWM and DIA. I will show you what I saw, but I want to introduce to you guys the voodoo lines. So let's finally jump into that. This is going to look pretty funky for you guys that have never heard of this stuff before. So as I jump into the SPY chart, what you're going to notice is you're going to notice all these lines. So remember, I said you have the fire line, you have the tree line, you have the snow line, and then you have the sky line, right? So let's look at this on the daily time frame, and let me explain this to the best of my ability. I have some alerts here. I'll actually get rid of these. These levels are levels that are updated every single month. So aside from actually purchasing the indicator or the package or just the education so you guys can learn how to use these, what they're going to do is they're not going to be an end all be all. They're not going to be a support or a resistance level that says, hey, we're going to hit this level perfectly and we're going to bounce or we're going to reject these levels. That's not how this works. Not at all. What this does, it provides clarity on where we can start trading into more significant levels. So as we start trading higher, as we start trading lower, these voodoos are going to be adjusted every single month. And there is a monthly fee to this, but the cool thing about our Discord group is we're using them. All you have to do is ask us for our charts. We will give them to you. This is not being updated every single day. So it's not working like a TTM squeeze. It's not working like an REF and RSI. It's not changing on a minute by minute basis. What it's doing is it's giving you the support and resistance levels for the month, and then it's going to be updated in the ensuing month. So some things that we want to pay attention to here, just of most important, right? Do we see any fire lines right now? We don't. The fire lines are going to be few and far between. Those are going to be some of the more critical levels. So you really want to be paying attention to when we're trading into those red lines. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit more. I have an alert here at the fire line. So I'm going to remove that and I'm going to put it on after this presentation because I want to be aware of where we're trading at on SPY if we trade down to $484. So when I'm looking here, when I'm doing the shorter time frames, right? I know we're on the daily right now, but we have to start on the daily and then we'll zoom in here in just a second. we want to just be aware of where the critical levels are first. So SPY, Qs, IWM, DIA, I have them in my head, right? Because of course I'm looking at charts 8 hours a day. But when I'm doing this, I just want to be abundantly aware of where these critical levels can be. So if you're someone that says, hey, Sage, I only trade 3 indexes, it's SPY, Qs, IWM, that's it, brother. Cool. So you're going to put those on your watch list. And what you're going to do is you're going to start zooming into your overall charts. We haven't talked about entries. We haven't talked about taking off your positions. We haven't talked about targets, not yet. But I want to show you how this is going to look like on the shorter time frame. So this is going to be really, really cool. When you're jumping into your 1 hour, 30-minute, 15-minute time frame, you guys don't see the skylines yet because I took them off or else they'll be too busy on my chart and it hurts my eyes. But when you're jumping in on the shorter time frames, you're starting to get more information. So check this out. On the 1 hour time frame, here it is. This is including aftermarket data. So remember, I said that this chart is going to be really, really busy, and it definitely is. So let me help you in engaging with some of the information that you're getting. When you're looking at skyline, tree lines, snow lines, all this stuff, all you want to do is you want to start looking into trading into some of your snow lines, or even better, your tree lines. And as we're starting to trade into those zones, that's where your entry is probably looking like it's going to be a little bit better at that point. Okay. So a lot of us, what we do is we're looking at ends or beginnings of engulfing candles, either on the 5-minute time frame, the 1 hour, whatever. So when we're looking to trade off of just price action specifically, right? Let me get rid of the voodoo lines because it is quite busy. When we're looking to trade just off of price action in and of itself, let me remove all my indicators here. What we're doing is we're literally playing a guessing game. That's exactly what it is. And you're looking to play the guessing game off of candles, right? A lot of us, I don't have my moving averages here, right? I do use them for sure, but I just want to focus on 2 indicators today. So a lot of us are using the stacks on the moving averages. Us in particular, we're using the stacks on the EMAs. And then a lot of us also are using something like the REF, the TTM, the RSI, the MACD, so on and so forth. But where the voodoo lines in particular have so much strength behind them is they take a little bit of the guessing game out of the equation. So how many times, right? I'm sure all of us do this, myself included. I have 10 years of doing this. I'm not going to break this habit from one day to the next. But how many of us jump in on our SPY charts and we start marking it up and it looks like a barcode, right? How many times have we seen charts like that? And I'm still doing that on my charts, right? Because I have a habit of doing it. So this is going to be my chart here on the daily. I still have all those horizontal lines. I have those support. But let me tell you something about putting technical indicators like this on your chart. Only you see this. So this is insignificant, right? So remember when we were talking about your own bias on your charts, it doesn't mean shit. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. It doesn't mean shit that I'm putting this on my charts either. What does matter is how much calculation, how much information you have when these support and resistance lines are actually put on your chart. So if anyone is thinking in the back, is this going to work on my platform? It's going to work on TOS and it will work on TV. Those are the only 2 platforms that the voodoo lines support. So now let's look at the voodoo lines, right? Just take a mental picture of my chart. And now let's look at where the voodoo lines are. They're not going to match up perfectly because I'm an algorithm. I'm not. So we're going to put them on. And then now we're starting to see more of a broad picture of where the support and resistance levels can be. So now I'm going to show you and I'm going to teach you what it is that we're doing, how to finite your strategy on the lower time frames. This is where I took this trade or trimmed this trade off for a 40% gain yesterday, but this trade ended up moving 100%. The proof is in the pudding. It's in the watch list yesterday. I signaled 4 things. I signaled SPY, Qs, IWM, and NVIDIA long. All of them hit. And all of them hit because of the levels that I'm going to show you right now. So this is really, really cool. On the 5-minute time frame, this is where I'm normally making the distinction of whether I want to take the entry or not. Cool. So what I'm going to be looking for is starting to trade into these support levels. So if I'm seeing a snow line or if I'm seeing a tree line, if I'm trading into that level, it's going to act as either a support or resistance. It's going to depend on price action primarily. Just because you hit that level doesn't mean that it will reject. You have to wait for the candles and you have to see if it will reject or if it will have a seller's wick, if it's going to have volume, so on and so forth. So you still have to add that additional element. But this is going to fine tune your entries. And this is why this is so powerful, man. This is why I freaking love this. I took 2 scalps today and I actually made a little bit of money with this strategy here. So I took the scalp. You guys don't see the REF indicator here, but I took the scalp on this engulfing candle because of this tree line. So you see it got close. It will never in your life will you use a voodoo line and it will hit your level perfectly? That will never happen. But what will happen is you start to trade in your zone and then you start to be on your toes. You're starting to load up your calls or puts. And then from there, you're looking to pull the trigger. And then on top of that, you're adding your implementation of where your stop loss should be. That's baby stuff. So the baby stuff is going to be, I'm going to set my stop loss here. If we start sweeping lower, I'm out of the trade. Cool. We don't have to really dive too deep into that. So in this particular situation, I'm looking for my entry, looking for my engulfing candle, and then I'll add the additional element on top of that, which is going to be the second indicator that I mentioned. Give me just 10 seconds. I'll put it on the chart. It's the ready, aim, fire. I don't need two of them. I just need one. This is going to be the additional element that I'm including. So this is going to work very similarly to the TTM. This is just a little bit more visually, visually engaging for me. But the TTM works exactly the same way. I'm getting the trigger here on the 5-minute time frame. I'm trading close to the tree line. I'm getting the engulfing candle, and then I have the trigger here on my RAF. Notice that I'm using 3 confirmations in order to take that position. And how do I know whether I want to cut the position or not? When I start to float the boat here and start to cut below that support level. So tree line is going to be most significant. If you're looking to trade the 5-minute time frame, you're probably not going to be seeing any fire lines anytime soon. Those fire lines are few and far between, right? So we're talking about a fire line all the way down to $484. Then I'm looking to swing, right? Then we're talking about a completely different strategy. And then on the higher end, we're looking at the fire line all the way up to, let's just see where that is, $530. We're not going to be seeing those levels anytime soon. But in the interim, right, between those levels, we have all these little minute levels that we can look to trade into. So what we're literally doing on the shorter time frames is we're finiting our strategy and we just have a little bit more support. These are not support and resistance levels that I arbitrarily put on my charts. These are mathematically based, and the math is quite fascinating. If you watch the videos that they have, it's about 45 minutes of video, well worth your time. And they explain exactly how these levels are calculated, and they're updated every single month. But this is going to give you just a little bit more guidance on where it is that you can find support or find resistance. So duly enough, let's talk about yesterday's price action. What did I do yesterday? So yesterday I signaled, I took one long, but I signaled 4 long positions off of the watch list. So let's look more here on the 15-minute time. And then we'll talk about some short positions as well, because I don't want to be too biased to the upside, because right now we're sinking after hours. So what did I do yesterday? What literally did I do? I was using just my own experience. And then I was looking for higher lows, lower lows, higher highs. Those are just basic technical stuff. So I was looking at this snow line right here, right? So in other webinars, I talk about patterns and talk about pattern recognition. So of course, I'm not going to be the best pattern recognition software out there. There's software that does that. But to my eye, this looked a little bit interesting. We had an inverse head and shoulders pattern here, left shoulder here, head here, and then right shoulder here. This move is the one that I was really, really interested in. So I signaled a long when I started noticing that we hit a snow line, and then from the snow line, I got a signal, and from that signal, I got an engulfing candle. So where am I going to set my stop loss? My stop loss is going to be right below where I took my entry, right? You're not taking an entry position off of a candle like this as you're moving into the snow line. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're waiting for our first trigger. So when we're getting our trigger, we're using our additional indicator, whether it's an RSI, whether it's a TTM, which you guys will get here at the end of this presentation, whether it's the RAF, whatever indicator that you use. If you're using the stacked EMAs, which I know Kyle, which is our morning trader, uses quite often. If you're using Nick's strategy, it's very, very closely based to what it is that I'm showing you here. So what the voodoo line is going to provide you, it's not going to give you the answers to the test. It's not going to do that, but it's going to give you a little hint. And that hint is what we're trading off now. And it has been hitting quite successfully. And it's been making us quite a bit of money, especially with our morning sessions. I know Kyle is tried and true to this, and he's also putting on the stack. So that's something that you definitely want to check out if you're going to join us for the free week that we're going to give you here. So what did I do, right? Look to trade into the snow line. As soon as I started getting the trigger for us to maybe change our bias or change our direction, I wanted to jump in. So another element, we've only talked about 3, but the 4th one is going to be the validity of the volume that is coming in. If I get a crap ton of volume coming in on a specific candle, I'm looking to jump on that position at that point in time. Does this make sense, everyone? Hopefully everyone cumulatively said yes, right? So this is what we're doing, and this is the trigger. This is the voodoo line. This is it on the shorter time frame. This is just the 15-minute time frame. If you want to be more finite with this, then you're going to be living on the 5 minute, or for some of you are living on the 1 minute. That's a little too psychedelic for me. That's a little, I have to exert myself a little too much, but some of you have that brain capacity. I just don't. I'm just not there anymore. Right? I'm getting old. But for some of you on the shorter time frames, what you really want to start paying attention to are just some of these incremental levels right here. So as you start trading into these more higher tier levels, which are going to be your snow and your tree line, that's where you want to pay attention. So just for example, we rejected the snow line here quite a few times. So depending on how we're trading into that zone, if you get the rejection, then that's where you're looking to take your confirmation either long or short. So here we have some examples where we're looking to trade into a tree line, and I'm getting some triggers, but I don't have the price action following suit quite yet, right? So remember, just a couple slides ago, I believe it was slide either 2 or 3. Don't think that every first trade that you take is going to be the banger. Doesn't work that way. You just want to make sure that you're applying the correct mechanics. So what do I mean by that? Me, I have a 3 trade policy. If I take 3 trades and I shit the bed that day, I'm not looking to take any more trades, right? If I take 3 trades and I lost 10% on all of them, that's it for me. So if I do that, right, then my strategy is not working for that day. And sometimes some of us take 15, 20, 30, 50 trades. At that point in time, something might be wrong with the execution. So in my opinion, I don't have to hit 15, 20 trades in order for me to be satisfied with my trading strategy for the day. I need to focus on 3. If I win 2 out of 3 trades and then that third trade is a 10% loss and then my 2 initial trades are at a 10 to 30% gain, I'm at a gain for the day. Do you guys see what I'm trying to get at? So that in and of itself is just talking about where your head is at and then starting to implement the correct strategy. That's what the voodoo lines provide. And of course, I'm using the RAF indicator in tandem with that. So now let's go over cues. I won't over explain the cues as much as I did there on cues, I promise. Where am I with time? Okay, I'm very good with time today. I always go over time. I'm so bad with that. I just get excited with explaining this stuff. That's my problem. All right, 30-minute time frame. What was I looking at here on cues, or at least for the interim, what was I looking at some of the shorter time frames? Remember how I do it? I go larger time frames. I know where the key levels supports are, right? I know where my tree line levels are. I know where my fire line level is, which coincidentally, we are at the fire line right now on cues. So this might be a critical level right here. This might be a level where we shoot out of, or if we start breaking lower, we're looking at support at 417 and then 414. You guys see the picture that I'm trying to build for you? Don't guess the levels anymore. Have the support and resistance level. The work is already done for you, and just wait on your position. Wait for the kill. Be a lion, lioness for the girls that are out there in the webinar. Be a lion, lioness, and just wait for the prey to come to you. Basically, that's basically the analogy that I have when I'm thinking about this, right? So you want to wait for it to come to you. Wait for the trade to come to you. And as you're looking for that reaction, set the alert, man. You don't have to be sitting in front of the computer and trying to guess what your entries are anymore. We're not doing that, right? It's not an efficient use of your time. At least this helps eliminate that by quite a good percentage. I can't give you an exact percentage, but I mean, it alleviates a lot of the guess space for me. So when I'm looking at something like the cues, a lot of you are already building your picture, right? A lot of you are saying, Sage, I get it. I totally get it, dude. I see the fire line right there. And this is not levels that I put on the chart, right? I'm going to prove that to you guys. Boom. These are just alerts that I set for myself. So that's not going to be a tree line. I'll remove that just for simplicity purpose. And then I'll remove that alert as well. All right, so what am I looking at here? I'm trading at the fire line, and I want to see, are we going to hold this, or are we going to reject it? Are we going to break low? Are we going to have a support at 417? Boom, 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 boom. I'm thinking all that stuff in my head. And then I'm just waiting for them, right? I'm just waiting for the alerts. And as we start trading closer and closer to this level, that's where my attention starts to rise. And then on top of that, I'm looking for the engulfing candle, and I'm looking for the trigger here on the RAF, the TTM. That's it, man. It doesn't need to be too complicated. And this is what we're doing. This is how we're fine-tuning our strategy and taking a lot of the guesswork out of this. I know some of us are jumping into charts and we're like, I don't know. I'm thinking that we're going to have support here, support there, and we're kind of picking things at random, right? Institutions are not doing that. Some of the larger traders are not doing that. You're looking to trade into these pocketed orders. A lot of us are using the SMC strategy as well. That's perfectly fine because it's a phenomenal strategy. This is a little bit intertwined with that. You're waiting for your levels as they start hitting or maybe not hitting or rejecting. Then you're going to look at your oscillators, right? It's going to be your RSI, your MACD, whatever they are. There's so many of them. So you're going to use your oscillators, and then you're going to look for your trigger, which is going to be your engulfing candle. And then you set yourself up for success by setting your stop loss. You set your stop loss, you take your 5, 10% loss, and you walk away. If you get a hit on your stop loss, you're looking for that re-entry sometime here in the future. So let me give you an example. If I'm taking a long position here, let's say I got a strong candle and then we start turning to the downside again. I set my stop loss already here, right? So I don't have to cry about it. I don't have to cry that I was triggered on this stop loss right here. If I start to trade back into my zone in an additional candle where I found support down here, well, that's the magnet area. I can take it again, but this time I'm not waiting or I'm not holding on to a drawdown where I'm drawing down 60, 70%, and then I'm holding on to it like, a newbie trader, and I'm looking to get my trigger back again. So at that point, I'm looking for my second trade. If that goes bang bust, then maybe I only took two losing trades at that point, but at least I'm not holding on to the loser. So now I have two trades at a drawdown of about 10%. And if I try to do it again and I have a drawdown and it hits my stop loss at another 10% loss, for me, I call it quits for that day. It's not my day, but they're relatively small losses. Now, if I catch a trade where we're getting a move to the upside, which I actually did. I signaled this as a resistance area, and then I signaled it long. I just rode the trade. That's exactly what I did. Now, some of you are thinking, and I'm getting ahead of myself and getting really excited, sorry. But some of you are thinking, all right, Sage, this is great. We got a sense of where the entry could be. So how do I target where I can let go of the trade or where I'm taking it off, right? It's a very natural question to ask. So the way that you're going to approach that is you're going to go from level to level here. So as you're starting to move into the skyline levels, this is a potential trim target. So that's going to be your first trim target. So depending on how many contracts you took, in my situation, if I take a $5,000 trade and then I hit my first target here, I'm probably not going to hold on to the entire trade because I want to guarantee some profit. I'm either going to do that or I'm going to start moving up my stop loss. Does that make sense, everyone? So you want to move up your stop loss and guarantee at least some profit on your trade. If you're not doing that, or if that's a new concept to you, you need to start implementing that today. Now, this is going to be my first target, that skyline level. And then this is going to be my second target. You're removing a lot of the guessing game, a lot of it. And then from there, if you want to target all the way up to the snow line and there's no reason for you to cut off your trade, by all means, that's what you want to do. Cool. So that's how you're going to set your target levels for you to trim. And that's how you're going to set your target levels for you to take off the entirety of your trade. So I literally gave you the strategy on how you should implement this with your stop losses and what your trim targets should be. So in my opinion, the two levels that are going to be most significant for me as targets, as entries, are going to be your snow line levels, depending on if you're engulfing either to the upside or to the downside. These days, I really don't care if it's to the long or short. I don't give a damn. I really don't. All I care is if we do get a rejection, it's a strong enough confirmation and I'm looking to ride in that direction. That's what I care about. So on the opposing side to that, right, if I was looking to take a long here off of that fire line, I would look at my snow lines, excuse me, not my snow lines, my skylines, and then my snow lines as potential targets. Now, if I was looking to take a short position here, I would have looked at the rejection here on the snow line. I would have looked at my additional indicator, the engulfing candle, and then I'm going to set my targets to the downside. So my first target is going to be the skyline right here. My second is going to be that skyline, right? And then if I were still, methodically moving my stop losses in accordance to what price action was doing, more than likely I would have been stopped out here, but I would have guaranteed at least a little bit of profit. Now, of course, this is after hours, so this doesn't count, but you guys get the gist. If I took my entry right at this candle right here, I wouldn't have taken it here. I'll be perfectly honest. I would have taken it at this candle. So if I would have taken it at that candle, if I wanted to hold on to the position, maybe a 1 to 3 DTE position, very likely I'll hold on to it before we trigger that stop loss, which is all the way up here. That's the strategy. That is the strategy in the nutshell. So that's Qs. Let's go to IWM. I'm going to show you what I saw on IWM. I just broke my promise there on Qs, so let me try to keep my promise here on IWM. You see these two arrows that I have? First arrow is going to be the tree line. Tree line held support. Strong candle into the tree line, signaled along. It's there. I'm going to signal to take it off here at 90% gain here very shortly. So I signaled that engulfing candle right on the tree line, and then we had more engulfing to the upside. So my first target, boom, right there was 195. I got in on this trade at roughly about 192.75. So boom, that's my first target, 195 if you're a scalper. And then even further than that, boom. It feels like I got lucky here on IWM, but that's how I would do it. Now, the strategy is not going to change if you're jumping in on the 15-minute or the 5. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be absolutely the same thing. So you're jumping on these levels and you're starting to set your entries at where these support and resistance lines can be. Now, how are you going to differ from the strategy that we talked about on the 30-minute to the 5-minute time frame? It don't change. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. So if you guys are a stack trader, if you guys are, let's say you're an oscillating trader, let's say you're an MACD, RSI, whatever indicator, the Lux algo, whatever you're using, lunar algo, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If you're using some sort of oscillator, that's going to be your trigger. Then you're going to use your crossings, your 9, your 13s. I haven't included that here because there's going to be too much information overload, but this is pretty clear right here. It's pretty clear that we're using the support and resistance levels on a scale of a hierarchy. Red being the most strongest level as a potential support and resistance. Then below that, you're going to have your green level. Below that, you're going to have your white level. And then lower than that is going to be low on the totem pole there is going to be your sky level, right? So for you guys that love those 1 minutes and love those 5 minute time frames, this is going to be just overall homework that's done for you. So you take a lot of the guessing game. A lot of you are thinking, how accurate are these voodoo lines? It's more accurate than the technical analysis that you're doing, a lot more accurate than the ones that I'm doing, that's for sure. So it removes a lot of the guessing game. And why is this important as a trader? As a trader, a lot of us, when we take a position, we feel a lot of that fire under our belly or under our asses, right? It's because we don't have confidence in the position. So that confidence, we start to regain that back when we do have some information that we have confidence in. So the voodoo lines provide that. And on top of that, your oscillators, your engulfing candles, so on and so forth. Just using those 3 to 4 triggers, right? Yeah, I didn't talk, they're not, the stacks are not on the chart here, but using that 4th confirmation, that's where you start to build some confidence and start to build pretty much a business around your strategy. And that's what we're using. That's literally what we're using in our Discord. So let me show you the watch list that we had yesterday and today. This is most recent. This is not stuff that I'm showing you from 6 months ago. I hate when people do that. So our watch list, right? Hopefully everyone can see this. So this is typically what the watch list would look like. We're going to include, for you guys that are in the Discord group, y'all already know. But for the newer guys that are going to be joining us, right, for the free week, right? That's all of you that have never participated in our Discord group. Every single one of you are going to join us for the free week. This is what you're going to see. You're going to see the watch list. This is how it's broken down. We're going to give you the levels, and then we're going to jump in on live, and we're going to give you real time because we can't type out the entries and the exits as quickly as we can when we're speaking. We're going to give you the levels, and we're going to give you the targets real time. So you're going to be seeing this real time. So this I'm going to explain this real quick. We're going long on IWM DIA from we were already long, so that doesn't count. I'm giving you a little bit of an explanation on why it is that I have a long bias, and then I'm going to give you sort of the areas for you to watch. I'm going to give you SPY long off of 500 because I think that that's where the buildup is, and then I will be explaining that. Not as verbose as I am now, but I will give you the hint of when you need to take that trigger and why when we're on live. And I'm going to tell you to move up the stop loss, and I'm going to be as enthusiastic as I am now for the webinar when we're taking these positions, because some of these positions, man, I'm making $600,000, $800,000 on these positions. So you bet your ass I'm going to be enthusiastic. So Qs, IWM, NVIDIA, boom, all of these hit. I know that we pulled back here, but these are scalping positions, so we don't have to worry about that. And then you have Kyle. Kyle is a lot more descriptive and a lot more detailed than I am, right? He's giving you the pre-market videos, he's giving you the information, and he's spending his entire day explaining exactly what his strategy is. He's doing his roundtables. He's giving you an abundant amount of information. So he's definitely giving you the information overload, it seems like. Not that it's too technical, but he gives you a lot of support and a lot of foundation. And that's our guy for the morning. And then we also have Nick as well, right? So just triggers for Nick. Nick is usually quicker trades, but so you guys have an idea, right? We're signaling these trades as we're on live, and what Nick is doing is he's giving you the chart as he's taking the trade. So this is abundantly clear on what it is that we're trying to do, and you get it real time, right? So hopefully everyone can see the Discord. This is how we operate. This is how it works. Cool. So hopefully I was able to convey exactly how it is we do business and how it is that you get these trades real time. Also, what I wanted to include, I didn't go over DIA, right? Because I'm starting to get very close to the end of the session. But what I wanted to include and what I wanted to impart to you guys is not that the voodoo lines are magic, right? I know that they have that funky name. It's not that they're magic. It's just the fact that they give you information that is mathematically based, which is basically what trading is. It's a mathematical probability that you're trying to set yourself into. If you can do that with confidence and you have a strategy where you're looking to cut your losers fairly quick, which I do when I'm scalping, then you have potentially a very, very lucrative and winning strategy. And that's what we want to impart to you guys. Now let's talk about some free stuff. Cool. Let's talk about that TTM indicator. I'm going to show you how it is absolutely equivalent to my RAF indicator. Just it just presents information just a little bit differently. So you're going to go into your indicators here. You're going to go to TV if you guys are using TV. And then you're going to type in TTM Squeeze Pro. I include this in every single webinar, and a lot of you guys, especially people that hang out in our Discord group, Kyle uses this a lot more often than I do. I prefer to use the RAF, but he used the TTM Squeeze, which you'll see on his chart when he gets on. So type in TTM Squeeze. It's the TTM Squeeze Pro by Beardy Fred. Boom. Put it on your chart, and it's going to give you the same information that it's giving you here on the RAF. Don't go out there and spend all this money on indicators. You're already getting it with us, right? You're getting it with the free trial, and you already got the $700 indicator that works exactly the same way as my RAF. Y'all don't have to worry about it. Cool. So any questions, if I need to go over anything else, I don't want to spend too much time. You guys, obviously, we value your time. We don't want you to stick around here until 1 o'clock in the morning, even though I would love to do so talking about stocks because this is my livelihood. I don't want to spend too much time over analyzing anything, but I think what we wanted to do here is impart to you how our strategy is working for us, what it is that we use in terms of triggers, and how it is that we set ourselves, even though we might be losing on a string of trades, how we, let's say we take 3 trades in a row because we were testing, consolidating, we had the long bias, and then we started breaking below all 3 times, how we're looking to set ourselves up for success later down the road when we're looking at that more important support level or more crucial support level down here. Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say? So as we're starting to trade in those pockets, we're looking at these levels, we're looking at these support and resistance, and then we're starting to engage with the charts on some of the larger time frames so we can build success on some of the shorter time frames. That's what we're doing all day long in our Discord group, guys. So I'm going to conclude here. I just want to really, really thank you guys for spending time with us. If at all, right? If I piqued your interest at all I want to impart to you guys is planting that curiosity seed, looking into some of the strategies and implementation that we're giving to you right here for a week so you guys can check us out. No strings attached whatsoever, right? Nate has already posted the link there so you guys can check us out. If you already see the value here, if you're already pumped up as I am, as pumped up as all of us are at High Strike, we literally spend hours and hours on end in the admin chat talking about these opportunities that we can get into, and you get all this preparation before a market even opens. And we also have throughout the day, we're throwing out potential positions that we want to take or to watch out for. If you see the value and you want to become a lifetime member today, then that is definitely something that you want to consider, right? That lifetime membership, remember, if you don't want to pay for the voodoo lines now, that lifetime membership is basically slashing the price in half because we're paying for them, right? So there's no reason why you should pay for them if you're already getting the information. There's no reason for you to double pay for something. So you're getting that part of your membership and part of your lifetime subscription if that is the route that you decide to take.